I want to start by saying my mom is the strongest person I know. Not strong in the way people say it to be nice. Actually strong. The kind of woman who worked double shifts for years without complaining, who fixed things around the house herself because she said waiting for someone else to do it was a waste of time. Who never once let me see her cry, even when I know she had every reason to. She was the person our whole family called when something went wrong. Not because she always had the answer, because she always made you feel like the answer existed somewhere and she was going to find it. I tell you this because what happened after her trip changed the way I understand everything I just said about her. And I still do not know if the woman standing in my kitchen that morning was my mother at all. She went on a trip with her friends in the middle of October. Nothing unusual about it. She and her two friends, Aunt Cass and Aunt Julian, not real aunts, just what I called them since I was small, took a 4-day trip together every year. A kind of reset, she called it. 4 days, no kids, no responsibilities, just 3 women who had been friends since before I was born, going somewhere quiet and coming back lighter. She had done it 9 times before this one. She came back on a Sunday evening. I heard her car in the driveway and went to the door the way I always did. She hugged me, asked about my week, looked around the house and said I had done a good job keeping it clean. Normal. Completely normal. We ordered food and watched something on TV, and she fell asleep on the couch before 10, which she always did after a long drive. I covered her with the blanket from the armchair. I went to bed. I did not notice anything wrong that night. The first night was completely normal. The second night, I woke up at 2 a.m., not for any reason I could name. Just open eyes and darkness and that specific silence of a house where something has changed without announcing itself. I lay there for a moment, and then I heard it. Her voice, downstairs, quiet and steady the way people talk when they are on the phone late at night and do not want to wake anyone. I checked my phone. I got up and stood at the top of the stairs and listened. She was not on the phone. There was no phone. There was no one else in the house. But she was talking in that low, steady way, pausing the way you pause when someone else is speaking, nodding the way I could tell even from the top of the stairs she was nodding, responding to something I could not hear, responding to something that was not there. I stood at the top of the stairs for maybe 3 minutes. Then her voice stopped. Silence. I heard the creak of the couch and then nothing. I went back to bed and told myself she had been half asleep. Told myself people talk in their sleep. Told myself I had misheard. I was good at telling myself things back then. The third night, I got up for water around 1 a.m. The kitchen light was off. The whole downstairs was dark, the way it gets when everyone is asleep and no one has left anything on. She was standing in the living room. Not sitting, standing. In the middle of the room in the dark, facing the window, completely still. Not looking out the window, not doing anything. Just standing there the way furniture stands. Like she had been placed there. I said, "Mom," she did not move. I said it again louder, and she turned around slowly and looked at me and said she could not sleep and was just getting some air. She smiled and told me to go back to bed. I went back to bed, but the windows were closed. She had said she was getting some air, and every window in that room was closed and had been closed all night. I know because I checked in the morning. I do not know why I checked. I just needed to know. After that, I started paying attention. During the day, she was normal, completely, perfectly normal. Made breakfast, asked about school, laughed at the things she always laughed at. The woman who sat across from me at the kitchen table every morning was my mother. I was certain of it. But at night, something shifted. It was not one thing. It was the accumulation of small things that each had an explanation on their own, but together added up to something I could not name. The way she stood when she thought no one was watching, not the way a person stands when they are tired or thinking. The way a person stands when they are waiting. Weight distributed wrong. Shoulders at an angle that looked deliberate rather than natural. Like a position someone had taught her rather than one her body had found on its own. The sounds from her room at night. Not talking this time, something lower. A sound I kept almost identifying and then losing. Not crying, not laughing, something that had no name in anything I had experienced before. And her posture at the dinner table one evening, She was eating, and I looked up and her neck was tilted, just slightly. Just a few degrees past what a neck does when someone is looking down at their plate. Too far. Wrong angle. Like something adjusting itself inside her and not quite getting it right. I looked back at my food and did not say anything. I do not know why I did not say anything. I think part of me already knew that saying something out loud would make it real in a way I was not ready for. It was the knife that broke me. Wednesday night. I came downstairs for water again. Different time, maybe 3 a.m. The kitchen light was off. She was standing at the counter, holding a knife, not using it, not cutting anything, just holding it at her side, blade down, completely still, facing the wall. The way you hold something you picked up and then forgot you were holding. Except she had not forgotten, because when I turned the light on, she did not startle, did not jump, did not look embarrassed the way a person looks when someone catches them doing something strange. She just turned around slowly and looked at me, and smiled, and put the knife down on the counter without looking at it, and said she had come down for water. There was no glass, there was no water. She had come down for nothing and been standing in the dark holding a knife facing the wall, and she smiled at me like this was the most natural thing in the world. I said, okay. I went back upstairs. I did not sleep again that night. The next morning, I called Aunt Cass. I did not know what I was going to say. I just needed to talk to someone who had been with her on that trip, someone who might have noticed something or known something or seen the moment whatever this was had started. Aunt Cass picked up on the third ring. I asked how the trip was. She said it was good. Fine. Normal. I asked if anything unusual had happened. She paused. It was a long pause. The kind that is not someone thinking. The kind that is someone deciding. She said no. Everything was fine. Your mom had a great time. We all did. I said, are you sure? Because mom has been acting a little different since she got back. Another pause. Longer this time. She said she was sure. She said, your mom is fine. She said it exactly like that. Your mom is fine. Not she's fine. Not don't worry. But your mom is fine, like she was reading it off something. Then she said she had to go and hung up. No goodbye. No talk to you soon. Just she had to go. Click. I sat with my phone in my hand for a long time after that. That night, my mom stood outside my bedroom door. I heard her footsteps stop in the hallway, right outside my door. I watched the shadow under the door, that thin strip of darkness that changes shape when someone is standing on the other side. And I watched it stay there for 11 minutes. I counted. 11 minutes of standing outside my door in the dark without knocking, without saying anything, without moving. Then the footsteps went back down the hall. I did not open the door. 3 days later, Aunt Cass and Aunt Julian came over. Saturday morning. I came downstairs and all three of them were in the kitchen. Mom, Aunt Cass, Aunt Julian. Coffee on the counter, sunlight through the window. Normal Saturday morning the way it had been 100 times before. I said good morning. They all said good morning back. I sat down at the table and poured myself juice, and I looked at them standing there together and I asked the question that had been building in me for 2 weeks. I said, what happened on the trip? They all looked at me. I said, something is different about Mom since she got back. What happened? Nobody spoke for a moment. Then Aunt Cass laughed, and Aunt Julian laughed, and Mom smiled. And I felt something go cold in my stomach because the laughs were slightly wrong. Not wrong in a way I could explain, just slightly off, a half second too late. A pitch that was almost right. Aunt Cass said nothing happened, sweetie. Your mom is fine? We all had a great time. I looked at my mom. She was still smiling. I said, Mom, are you okay? She nodded, then I noticed. Aunt Cass had stopped blinking. I looked at Aunt Julian. She had stopped blinking too. 2 women standing in my kitchen in the Saturday morning sunlight with their eyes completely open and completely still. Not the way people go still when they are distracted or thinking. The way things go still when the thing inside them that makes them move has paused. I said, are you okay? Aunt Cass, are you okay? Nothing. I stood up. I said I was going to call someone. I moved toward the counter where my phone was charging, and I turned around to look at them. All 3 of them were standing at the counter. My mom, Aunt Cass, Aunt Julian. They had not been at the counter. They had been by the window. There was no sound of movement, no footsteps. They were simply there, 3 feet away, standing in a line facing me, Eyes open, not blinking, smiling. That smile. I have tried to describe that smile to people since, and I cannot find the right words. It was not a mean smile. It was not a threatening smile. It was a smile that had all the right parts in all the right places, and was wrong in a way that had nothing to do with the parts or the places. Like something had learned what a smile was supposed to look like, and had produced one perfectly, and that perfect production was the most frightening thing I had ever seen. 3 of them. Same smile, same stillness, same open, unblinking eyes. I could not move. Then my mom tilted her head, just slightly, just that few degrees too far, and all 3 of them said it at the same time, in the same voice.
Nothing, sweetie.
I do not remember leaving the house. I remember being outside. I remember the street being bright and normal, and a neighbor walking a dog, and a car going past, and all of it feeling like it was happening behind glass, like I was watching the normal world from somewhere it could not reach me. I called my aunt, my real aunt, my mom's sister. I do not know what I said. I was not making sense. She came and got me and took me to her house, and I sat in her kitchen, and she made tea and asked me what happened. I told her everything. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Did they say anything else?" Before the nothing, sweetie. Did any of them say anything else at all? I thought about it, and I remembered. Right before, a half second before all 3 of them spoke, my mom had leaned toward me, just slightly, just enough that I felt the air between us change, and she had whispered something. Just her, just barely audible. I had not registered it in the moment because everything else was happening, but sitting in my aunt's kitchen, I heard it again in my memory, clear as anything. She had whispered,
"We brought something back."
My mom called me the next morning. Normal voice, normal words, asked where I was, said she had been worried, said Aunt Cass and Aunt Julian had left and the house was quiet and she missed me. She sounded exactly like my mother. She sounded perfectly fine. I have not gone back. It has been 4 months. She calls every morning, normal voice, normal words. Every single morning without fail, I never answer. But I listen to the voicemails, and in every single one, right at the end, right before she hangs up, in the half second of silence before the call cuts, I can hear her breathing change, just slightly, just wrong enough, like something remembering to stop.